In my early to mid 20s, I was in an emotionally abusive relationship. I was in an emotionally abusive dynamic with a woman, and I managed to get out of it. I got out of that situation, and I used that situation as a catalyst to self-reflect. And now, so many videos online talking about this topic, they will make the same mistake. They will go through an emotionally abusive dynamic, the men who talk about this stuff. They won't actually self-reflect. What they will in fact do is think of a laundry list of reasons why women are bad now. That's the extent to which a lot of these men who make this content, that's the extent to which they will go. They will deconstruct women. They will create this massive list of signs that she's an emotionally abusive, toxic woman and all this other stuff. I took a different approach. When I went through my emotionally abusive dynamic, my relationship, after that, and I'm very grateful to the earlier version of myself that did this, I actually started to ask myself the question, what is it about me that attracted her? What is it about me that chose to stay? What is it about me that refused to step into conflict, to assert my boundaries? What is it about me that was so afraid of upsetting her and so afraid of getting her disapproval and so afraid of losing her that I essentially lost myself? What is it about me? What is it in me that did that? And I'm so grateful that I took that route instead of use it as a way of making women out to be these toxic people, because that's had a huge impact on my relationships in a positive way. But in this video, I'm talking about the value, the necessity of being an assertive man who's willing to step into conflict, who's very viscerally and clearly aware of his boundaries and he's willing to assert them. I'm talking about how being this kind of man is practically the only way you can inoculate yourself against emotionally abusive behavior. And funnily enough, when you become this kind of man, you stop attracting those kinds of partners as well. And if this is your first time on the channel, mate, my name is Oliver. I'm a coach, I'm a writer, I'm a retreat leader, and on this channel I help men heal the boy within, become unshakably confident and authentic in life and relationships. If that sounds like something you want to do, subscribe to the channel because more content is on its way. But let's wind the clocks back to a time that I'm actually quite proud of, a time when I knew that I'd made a change, a time when I knew that the actual moment, this 5-second moment when I knew that it had all paid off and that I'd actually made some changes and that I was a different man now. So as I said earlier, I was in an emotionally abusive dynamic that I spent many years recovering from. About 3 years ago, I'm sitting there, I'm on a date with this beautiful woman from Peru, right? I'm sat there, I'm on this date, and we've had a few drinks, we've had a few cocktails, and we start bantering back and forth with each other. If you don't know what that is, banter is like playful teasing. Okay, in the UK, in Britain, it's a form of affection, really. It's how we hug. We're not very physically affectionate people, but we hug with almost banter. It's quite fucked up, really. But I'm on this date and we're bantering, and the heat is turning up a little bit. Okay, it's like a thermometer. It's going up. The oven is getting hotter, pretty much. But at some point, it gets too hot. Okay, so we're talking, we're going back and forth, and I make a joke about me paying for everything. And then that's when she becomes disrespectful. You know, she goes from the realm of teasing and playful banter to being disrespectful. I made a joke about me paying for the drinks and I said, oh, okay, I'll pay for everything then, shall I? And she was like, what? I was like, oh, I'll just pay for everything. It was like, don't be a fucking dick. She literally said, right, this is within earshot of everyone else around, tables all around, people out. She said, don't be a fucking dick. Or something to that degree. It happened a while ago, so I can't remember the exact specifics. But she insulted me, pretty much. And I could tell this was not just playful. This was not teasing. This was her having a disrespectful, angry reaction. And I said, excuse me, what? And she was like, yeah, to be a fucking dick. What the fuck are you talking about? She started swearing and started getting really abusive, right? Insulting, which is something I never once did. I never raised my voice. I never swore, but she went there first, okay? So then that's when I sort of noticed I had a decision to make. Now, here's how old Ollie, here's how old version of me, the version of me that was in that toxic dynamic, would have responded. Did I upset you? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I went too far. Did I upset you? What did I say? I apologize. Do you forgive me? That's how old Oliver. Oh my God, I'm still wearing my hood. I just saw her in the camera. That's how old Oliver back then would have responded in an agreeable way. Now, there's merit to this, right? There's merit to being emotionally in touch and empathic and compassionate and all the rest of it. But in that moment, that would have let this person off the hook for being totally toxic and totally insulting in public. So instead of handle it that way, which would have been the worst way to handle it, instead, I sat there, I let the silence speak for a moment. I checked in with myself. I realized that really, that was a boundary violation of mine, big time. And I simply just said to her, too far. That was too far. And she responded by sort of trying to downplay it, like, what are you getting upset about for? What are you getting upset for? She started to make it like about me and about like my feelings, about like, well, why am I getting upset? Like I'm in the wrong. And I said, look, that was too far. You raised your voice. You swore. You just insulted me. I said this, and then she started to get back, started to raise her voice again. And I said, look, let me just make something very clear to you. If you speak to me like that again, this night is over. And I said it again. I'm not insulting her. I'm not demeaning or belittling her character. I'm just setting a clear boundary that I will not be spoken to like that. And I'm also introducing a consequence. Okay, because a boundary without a consequence, there's no teeth there. If there's no consequence to your boundary, then people will cross it constantly, and they will realize from you that they can do that constantly, and they will take that liberty. So I just said that. And her reaction was very surprising to me at the time. Now it's not a surprise to me at all, but back then it was. She paused for a moment, and she said, I'm sorry. And the nice guy programming in my head is like, huh? I was expecting her to come back with some Latin, fisticuffs pretty much. But she said, I did raise my voice. I did go too far. And I was disrespectful. Do you forgive me? And she was being deadly serious about that. I was impressed. I was like, holy shit. And I said, yeah, I forgive you. Now let's have a good night. I stood up, go to get drinks. I come back with the drinks, sit down, and I start talking. And I can tell she's still not fully present with me. She's still in her own head about something. And as I'm talking, she just interrupts me, right? She just says, Oliver, I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to interrupt you, but I just need to say something. Is that all right? I said, yeah, no problem. And she said, Oliver, I want you to do more of that. I was like, what? In my head, I was like, hey, what the fuck? I was like, what? Do more of what? And she said, I want you to do that more. I feel safer with you I felt safer with you when you did that, when you put me in my place. She literally said, put me in my place, right? Now, can you imagine, that's like the most non-PC shit you could possibly imagine, right? But she said it. I didn't say it in terms of like, oh yeah, I'm good, I'm big fucking Mac Daddy Alpha because I put her in a place. I'm not that kind of dude, right? But she said it. She actually felt safer because I set a boundary with her, right? So she said, I felt safer when you did that. She said, I'd like you to do that more often. And she also said, I'm going to be gross for a second, but she said, I also would like to leave soon. I'd like us to go back to your place because I'm really wet right now. Promise you right now, that's what she said. This was a turning point for me, mate. This was a turning point. Because nice guy Oliver back then when I was being in an emotionally abusive relationship with my ex-girlfriend would have never dreamed in a million years of saying that to a woman, of saying, too far, this night is over if you speak to me like that again. Wouldn't have ever done it in a million years. So my relationships back then were chaotic, messy. I seemed to just attract chaotic, confusing dynamics and relationships, and just, relationships were an absolute nightmare back then. Now, I'm not saying everything's all roses now. I've still got a lot to work on. But the nice guy programming, that's in that moment with that woman on that date, I knew that I'd turned a corner. So what I want to just close this off with, men, is an invitation for you. I want you to change your relationship with your own assertiveness. A lot of men, and myself included back then, had a relationship with assertiveness and anger and our teeth and conflict as a negative. Now, this shit comes from childhood, right? Because if you look back in your childhood long enough, you can ask yourself, what happened when I expressed strong feelings in my childhood, around my dad, around my mum, around my caregivers, around my teachers, even in school, around my peers, right? What happened if I expressed anger? What happened if I expressed strong emotion? What happened if I made myself more visible? Was that treated positively? Did good things happen? Or did negative things happen? Was I punished for it? Did people abuse me for it? Was I bullied for it? Was I humiliated for it? Right? You can look into your past and understand what your relationship with conflict is. But one thing we've got to do as men, if we want healthy relationships with women, if we want to be respected by women in relationship, if we want to be admired, right? Not from an ego perspective, but if we want to be in a mutually admiring dynamic with a woman, then we've got to respect ourselves, man. We've got to respect ourselves. How can she respect you if you don't respect yourself? And boundaries is how we do it. Okay? Now, that's my invitation to you, men. Get clear on what your boundaries are. Practice some assertive communication, which I talk about elsewhere on my channel. I'll talk about it in the future as well, so subscribe to the channel for more content. I get very practical about this. I love frameworks, and I love practical awareness exercises to get clear on this stuff. The video will be too long if I talk about it now, but in the future I'll share that stuff. And basically, man, realize that conflict is healthy. Boundaries are freedom. The real freedom is being able to assert yourself, being able to share your emotional truth with the people in your life. Real internal freedom and real inner peace comes from the knowledge that you are in your own corner. You have teeth, you have your boundaries, you're willing and you're practiced in asserting them, and that you will not let people disrespect you. That's how you release the anxiety in your system, in your nervous system as a man. That's how you start embracing and start developing that inner grounded sense of calm confidence. Calm confidence and that sense of groundedness doesn't come from just being nice to everybody. Nice guy syndrome is an anxiety-based condition. And releasing anxiety is not all about breath work and all about journaling. It's also about how you let people treat you. So that's the video today, man. Appreciate you. Take care. Subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in working with me for 12 weeks in my Pleaser to Leader program, click the link in the description below. If you're not quite ready to do that yet, take my 5-day Kill the Nice Guy mini course. Again, link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video, all right? Take care, men. Stay courageous.